Today I've got Patrick Chanezon, who is with Google. Patrick, how are you?
Hi, Rich. Great. It was a great session today.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot at this conference, and thank you for being a guest here and part of my my interview series.
Hey, my pleasure.
So why don't you tell us, what's your role at Google?
So my role is I'm an API evangelist, and I'm the API evangelist for OpenSocial. And OpenSocial is a standard that Google proposed and that is elaborated by a whole community of companies. And my role at Google was, when we started thinking about OpenSocial back in September, was to go out to all the social networks and propose them to do a standard together. And obviously it worked pretty well.
And so you were telling me a little bit earlier just about API evangelists and how many are within the company now, and you were one of the first, right?
Oh yeah, actually I was the first evangelist hired 3 years ago when Google had only 3 APIs. And in 3 years we went from 3 APIs to 60 right now. I even have a script on my blog where you can count the APIs. So it's growing at a fast pace. Google is doing more and more in the developer space. What's really interesting about OpenSocial that stands it a little bit apart from the other API is that OpenSocial is a standard for the whole web. The IP, the intellectual property of OpenSocial is owned by a foundation, the OpenSocial Foundation, that was created by Yahoo, MySpace, and Google. So it's really not a Google thing, it's a web standard.
That's fantastic. So you were talking about adoption and how there's been a good amount of adoption. What sorts of companies now have adopted it?
Wow, it's been incredible. We announced OpenSocial in November, and the first social site we implemented it started implementing it in April. And essentially we have, I think, 6 different social sites right now. There's MySpace, High5, Orkut on the Google side, there's Netlog in Europe, there's iDetail in Korea. It's very international, and there's a lot of social sites in the pipe that are implementing it right now and that should ship in the next 6 months. So I expect there should be 20 to 50 social networks implementing OpenSocial in the next 6 months. Yahoo and AOL recently joined, and they are a huge social network. Today, in terms of adoption, we have OpenSocial is reaching out to 275 million users. So when you're building an application on top of OpenSocial, you can distribute it. Your maximum reach would be these 275 million users. And this number is going to grow in the next 6 months.
And so that's one of the benefits, is the access to the vast amount of users.
It's all about reach. For developers, they want their application to be used by users. And the idea of OpenSocial is to move your application from your website to the social networks where people spend a lot of time today.
And so going forward, where do you see this market headed?
Wow, there are lots of trends right now. One of the trends is to allow the reverse model. The model I talked about is where you move your website inside of the social site. So essentially your users are interacting within the social site on MySpace or Orkut, or High5, they just interact with your application in there as a piece of the screen real estate. Another thing that is made possible by the latest version of OpenSocial that has been defined last month, we call it 0.8, and it hasn't shipped yet. It should be ready in the next few months. It's what we call a REST API. It allows you to do the reverse, which is to call the social graph, the list of friends and the profile information of them, from your website. So you can have users on your website interacting with their friends and being social on your website. And at Google, we have a specific product called Google Friend Connect that does federation of social networks, and that allows your site, any website, to become a social site with very little effort. Literally, it's just a few lines of JavaScript to add to your website, and then your users can sign in, link their Orkut, list of friends from Orkut or Plaxo, and interact with them and, on your site, adding some OpenSocial applications. If you go to my blog, which is at wordpress.chanezon.com, you'll see an example of that. You can sign in, and then there's a comment box, and you can leave me some comments in there and see what your friends have left as comments.
Oh, that's really great. So in this example, a web page could, let's say, have news about sports, something like that, and then what else would be on that page?
So what would be on that page? Usually you add a little gadget, that's a little line of JavaScript where the user can sign into the social network. And so there's a series of dialogue where the dialogues say, okay, can this website have access to your list of friends? Which list of friends you want to link to? Is it just Orkut or do you want Plaxo as well, if you're on the two networks? And then you say, can this site post to your activity stream? What we call the activity stream is this list of things you're doing on the web, and that becomes more and more important. So you fill in all that, you say yes, and then you will see the list of your friends that have signed up for this website as well, and you can invite them. There's a viral loop built into the system in there. And then after that, when you're the website owner, you can add some OpenSocial applications right in your page. So if it was a sports news page, for example, you can have a comment application that lets you comment on the news. If it's a music site, we have some examples of artists who add the I Like application where you can stream your music, the music of the artist directly in there, and users can say, yeah, I like this one, I'd like to see what my friends like from this artist, and things like that. So the idea is to bring social to the web in general as a horizontal standard layer so that developers can socialize the web.
So really, it sounds to me like there are many websites that should be exploring getting involved in this phenomenon, right?
Oh yes, so for any website, the way I see OpenSocial, for me, it's the third version of the web. The first version was really about connecting machines together. You would go from one URL to another. The second one was about letting users interact in an easy way, what we call the Ajax applications,
sure,
where the web became more interactive and people started contributing content. And for me, the third wave is really with OpenSocial, the social web, where people start interacting. It's about connecting people together. When you're doing things, it's always more fun when you're doing it with your friends. Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned trends and some of the interesting things that are happening. Are there any other things that
Yes, there are two trends that I see coming as very important in the next year. One of them is the distribution of the web in general. OpenSocial, I think, is